topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
What's working on purpose anyway? Each week, we ponder the answer to this question. People ache for meaning and purpose at work, to contribute their talents passionately and know their lives really matter. They crave being part of an organization that inspires them and helps them grow into realizing their highest potential. Business can be such a force for good in the world, elevating humanity. In our program, we provide guidance and inspiration to help usher in this world we all want, working on purpose. Now, here's your host, Dr. Alise Cortez.
Welcome back to the Working on Purpose program, which has been brought to you with passion and pride since February of 2015 already. Thanks for tuning in this week. Great to have you. I'm your host, Dr. Alise Cortez. If we have not met before and you don't know me, I'm a workforce advisor, organizational psychologist, management consultant, logotherapist, speaker, and author. My team and I at Gusto now help companies to enliven and fortify their operations by building a dynamic, high-performance culture, inspirational leadership, and nurturing managers activated by meaning and purpose. And did you know that inspired employees outperform their satisfied peers by a factor of 2.25 to 1? In other words, inspiration is good for the bottom line. You can learn more about how you can work together with us at gusto-now.com and my personal site, alisecortez.com. Before we get into today's program, I am thrilled to announce that registration has been open for a fabulous brand new conference for women, for which I'll serve as the MC. It's called Thrive in 25, and it's jam-packed few days in Chicago, June 25th through the 28th, 2025. It was designed to develop women as whole selves, from bolstering your mindset to your financial acumen to leadership to incorporating nature and art into your life to raise consciousness and much more. Visit thriveit25.com for information and to register. Use my promo code of GUSTO, G-U-S-T-O, all caps, to gain access to the free books and programs I'll be giving to registrants. See you there. Getting into today's program, I have something for you very, very special. We have a dynamic trio from CC Young, a senior living and care community. Jennifer Griffin serves as the Vice President of Community Outreach and Engagement and is dedicated to shaping engagement and hospitality across the campus, ensuring every resident, family member, and staff individual experiences the true spirit of CC Young. Brian Parman is the director, and Angela Castillo, the assistant director of the Point and Pavilion, where they direct the vibrant activities and events and operate thriving hubs, curating a robust calendar of engaging opportunities for both residents and the wider community. Today, we'll be talking about the aging demographics in the U.S. and how CC Young serves this community. The Spirit is Ageless contest for writers and artists they host each year and celebrate some of the winners of past years. We four are here on site at CC Young in Dallas, so you can experience some of the atmosphere and art created by contest participants, some of which is directly behind us. Jennifer, Brian, and Angela, a hearty welcome to Working on Purpose. Thank you
for having us.
So great to be here. And this all started, ladies and gentlemen, listeners and viewers, as we were talking about this contest coming up, and I'm getting to serve as the keynote. So we wanted to further evangelize what they're doing and help you in on what is happening with the aging community. So we'll start there. So I was surprised to learn about some of the things that I learned from you about the aging population. So let's help our listeners and viewers understand the state of today's aging population.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to jump in on this one, Alise. We are, as a country, facing a silver tsunami. Many have heard of that. Mm-hmm. I've got some statistics for you, and it's all based on the year 2030. So by the year 2030, which is right around the corner, we will have 70. So funny. I know, it's so crazy. It's so close. 73.1 million adults, or 21% of our population, will be 65 or older. By 2030, the same year, we are going to have the youngest baby boomer will turn 65. Like, what? And in 2039, the youngest baby boomer will be 75 years old. So that sort of puts it in context a little bit.
So, of course, that's interesting. You know, if we relate that to what the size of today's population is, what is it, 350 million or something? Is that right? Mm. Now, that's 5 years out for what you were just sharing. But then, of course, we have to ask then what's contributing to this increasing size of the population?
Well, better healthcare throughout the country. We've got better information now on nutrition and lifestyle and stress and all those things than we've ever had. So people, as a general rule, are living longer, living hopefully better lives. That's our goal, is to make sure people live better longer. And anything else you want to add? I mean, it's just the evolution of society. As a world, we're living longer now. I mean, people used to die at 40.
Right. Yeah.
So
actually, your founder died at, what was it, 44?
40, yeah, very young.
And so now let's talk about what kind of challenges does, present themselves as we age.
Sure. I think there's a lot of stigma for people around what senior living looks like. I mean, many of them have a perception of it being very lonely or maybe kind of a sad time in life. And I have found that to be completely the opposite. I'm about to celebrate my 10th year here at CC Young. And, truly this is a place where you come to live. And a lot of people, when I've talked with them, especially when I first got here, shared that they were really sad that they hadn't done it sooner. That they really hadn't done it sooner. To have like less stress, but to have all the different choices of the activities, the community, the opportunity to find purpose, and to be able to have the safe space to play again. That's something that you have to learn again. I mean, to be like a child. I mean,
well, and as a general statement, the industry itself has changed a ton since the beginning of time. I mean, starting in the early 2000s, there was a big move from just standard old traditional nursing home care to person-centered care. And everything we do here is directed around what people's interests and passions are.
Sounds good. Save me a seat. I'm right now 1.2 miles away. Wouldn't be hard to move in. Well, and the other thing that we talked about along those lines that I'm terribly interested in helping you do is you are interested in changing the way people relate to aging and how it's perceived by people inside and outside the community. So if you could juxtapose how it's generally talked about and perceived today and where you're trying to get it to.
Oh, this is a big one. Who wants to jump in?
Well, I mean, Colin Milner.
It's wellness, yeah.
Yeah. Colin Milner is the founder and the president of the International Council on Active Aging. And Jen, if you want to.
Well, went to that conference a couple of years ago, and I came back with my head exploding, actually, because it's something you hear all the time. And I guess I will say that I was stuck in the paradigm of wellness is fitness. And it's really not just that. That's a component of it. So I came back and looked at what we're already doing here on our campus and thought, my gosh, we're doing so much already, especially these two in this building is what it's dedicated to. We just need to change our languaging around it. We need to change the way we talk about wellness.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things is a lot of people still think about senior communities and seniors in general as, oh, they play bingo, they sit around, they don't get out. But
do anything.
With the population shifting, they worked longer. They want to stay active longer. They want to learn new things. And that's what we try to do here is present them with opportunities to learn new things, new technology, take art classes, writing classes. We have an acting group that puts on plays, all kinds of things that's not what people think about when they think about the senior community and what they can accomplish.
Super active.
Well, as you think about some of the celebrities that are out there, Cher and,
Harrison Ford,
right, Harrison Ford, but like, that there have been Martha Stewart living on the cover of Sports Illustrated magazine, and other images haven't just been about the young person. And I think that people have woken up to the fact that, this demographic has a lot of time and they have money to spend, and people are marketing to them. I mean, the folks here are definitely prolific in Amazon, as am I. I wasn't until I started because of this one.
Yeah.
But like the boxes are coming in every day and they are making it happen.
So funny.
I think that's wonderful. I love that vibrancy. In fact, why did we call this episode? It's related to Crescendo. Live life in Crescendo. Your best years are ahead of you, which is something I want to credit to Cynthia Holler-Covey, who was on my podcast a couple of years ago, and that's part of the title of her book. But I love it for what we're doing here.
Love that title.
Right?
Love that title.
So let's just briefly introduce CC Young to our listeners and viewers so they have an idea of the kind of what you do here. And we don't have time to go into a lot of history and such, but just introduce the institution.
Oh, I'd be happy to. We are a faith-based organization, a nonprofit, faith-based. We're 103 years old, mission-driven, part of East Dallas since the early 60s. So we're rooted here. We are what they call a CCRC, a continuing care retirement community. And we've been known all this time for our stellar care. Our campus is catching up to the level of the care we provide. And let me define a CCRC. I went a little too fast over that. A CCRC is a continuing care retirement community. And that means we have several different levels of care, starting from independent living, assisted living, memory support, skilled nursing, short-term rehab, all the way to end-of-life care. And we do that not only for our residents here on campus, but also out in the community.
Okay, that helps tremendously. And I know you have more than 500 residents here.
Right.
That's a lot of people to take care of and keep track of.
We do. And in addition to those 500 residents, we have more than 150 non-resident members
Point members
who come from the local community to engage in the programming and the events and the contests and all the things that happen here every day.
That's wonderful. Vibrancy. So as I've gotten to know you better, and I've considered, I'm a single person, and I can well imagine myself in your community. And yet we know that many people don't consider joining a community like this. So now it makes sense, I think, to contrast the experience of people who live in a community like yours versus those who choose to live separately or independently. What's the difference?
Sure. Well, a lot of people focus on the care that's provided in a place like this, and it is a huge part of what happens. And oftentimes it's either the person or the loved one with that person that needs care, and that might be why they make that entry. But as we move into this time period, a lot of the focus is shift from being a care community that provides some wellness to being a wellness community that provides care. And as Jen said earlier, wellness is everything from the aesthetic of the environment that you're in to, the physical activities that you would think, but it's also, vocational and other
community and sense of belonging.
Yes. And emotional, meeting emotional needs and all of those things. And so it's a different vibe. And I think when people finally come see it, they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So what's very interesting for our listeners and viewers who've been hearing this show for quite a while now, I'm going to tell you that several of them that you are listening right now would be like, ooh, can I have that in my workplace? Can I have all those features in my workplace? And
Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah.
Right? That's what we're working on, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to get to more destination workplaces. And so now I would call this a destination live place. But that brings me, of course, since this show is so rooted in, the experience of work and the experience of giving back and being enlarged by work, I couldn't let you come on without asking each of you to share just briefly, why this work? What does it mean to you?
Well, I'll start. Since I'm the aged one in the group, I have had a broad and checkered career, and all along the way, I've had success. I've loved what I've done, and it's been good, but I've always had a lacking sense of what I was doing was actually making a difference. I never anticipated joining a senior living community. And in fact, I've lived a mile away all these years since I owned the house in '88. But I came here and immediately recognized and felt that what I do makes a difference. And that's the huge difference for me. And it doesn't take long to really realize you've got a passion for this and changing the paradigm and starting our own TV. There's so much we want to do. And the world is coming along the way with us.
It's wonderful. It's so wonderful, Jen. And, anybody who's been listening to the show for any period of time knows how much we talk about how we can help create workplaces where people know they matter. And that's partly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. But unlike Jen, who has had a lot of different experience, like she says, I didn't have a lot of different work experiences. And I started here at CC Young 12 and a half years ago. And I came in not knowing what to expect, only knowing that I want some hospitality, work. But within the first year of working here, I had a resident or a point member come and tell me, I appreciate that you always have a smile on your face, because you don't realize that some days the only people that we talk to as seniors are y'all. We don't see our family. We don't see anybody else. To have someone smile at us every day makes a difference. And it was, I think, that moment that I was like, wow, like just my smile is making an impact on somebody that I would never have thought. And over the years, I've seen it over and over again, just the impact you have directly on people. They appreciate it, and it validates what we do in planning our events or in doing any service that we do for the residents. So I know that really helped me decide that this is where I should be, where I want to be.
I love the circularity of what you just described there. It's beautiful.
Gosh, I don't know. For me, I think, let me piggyback it on you guys. I think that I get a real joy when I see a light bulb go on for someone where they've discovered something that they didn't know that they had an interest for or a knack for. And whether that be like somebody in a writing class and see an article and being published in one of our lifestyle guides or the magazine or something, or just even watching a group of people who were in this very room with a horticulture therapist. They didn't know each other. They came out of that after about 4 weeks, learning about the plants, talking about them, but actually doing some great therapy. And they walked out of here just different, and their backs held up right. And it just made me smile, and it just makes me enjoy coming to work every day.
Oh, that is so beautiful. A lot of the reason why I like doing the work that I do, developing leaders and organizations too, Brian. Yeah. On that, let's let you contemplate what's been discussed so far and how these people are connecting to their work. And we'll take our first break. I'm your host, Dr. Alise Cortez. We've been on there with Jennifer Griffin, Brian Harmon, and Angela Castillo of CC Young. We've been first in this segment talking about the state of the aging demographics in the United States and how CC Young is serving them. After the break, we're going to get into the Spirit is Ageless celebration of artists and writers. We'll be right back.
Dr. Alise Cortez is a management consultant specializing in meaning and purpose, an inspirational speaker and author. She helps companies visioneer for greater purpose among stakeholders and develop purpose-inspired leadership and meaning-infused cultures that elevate fulfillment, performance, and commitment within the workforce. To learn more or to invite Alise to speak to your organization, please visit her at alisecortez.com. Let's talk about how to get your employees working on purpose. This is Working on Purpose with Dr. Alise Cortez. To reach our program today or to open a conversation with Alise, send an email to Alise, A-L-I-S-E, at alisecortez.com. Now, back to Working on Purpose.
Thanks for staying with us and welcome back to Working on Purpose. I'm your host, Dr. Alise Cortez. As I am dedicated to helping create a world where organizations thrive because their people thrive, like these people do here at CC Young, and are led by inspirational leaders that help them find and contribute their greatness, and we do business that betters the world, I continue to research and write my own books. So one of my latest came out. It's called The Great Revitalization, How Activating Meaning and Purpose Can Radically Enliven Your Business. And I wrote it to help leaders understand the nature of today's very discerning workforce. What do they want and need to stay with you and give their best? And then I offer 22 best practices to help equip your organization to provide that for them through your leadership and your culture. You can find my books on Amazon or my personal site, alisecortez.com. If you're just now joining us, my guests are the dynamic trio from CC Young, a senior living and care community. So let's talk about this contest that I'm so excited to be part of. So let's start with the history and purpose of the Spirit is Ageless contest, a celebration of artists and writers. What a great idea. I know it started in 1999, but tell us a bit.
You know, I think the contest really started with a group of visionaries who envisioned the point well before it was here. It was like the early 90s. And part of their mission was really like ours, to change the paradigm of senior living and what that looks like. And so through a community outreach program like this contest, that was started by the Texas Homes and Services for the Aging Association, which is now called Leading Age, which is actually how we met officially the first time.
Right.
You know, that group had an art show like this. There was a statewide competition. It still exists today, that gave an opportunity for people 55 and better to submit and to maybe be selected to be featured in an art show that might go to the Capitol or be featured in Austin. And so that group of people who envisioned this building thought, you know, let's do something like that here. Started it, and it's been since
Started small and has grown and grown and grown.
Yeah. The show actually traveled through churches before it actually came here to this building. But we're celebrating our 25th year this year. So it's just been a real labor of love.
And one of the things I appreciate about it, and if you wanted to chime in, Angela, is that I love that you open the contest not just to your own residents and those that are connected to it, but the whole Dallas-Fort Worth metropolitan area. I think that's really generous, and it's just a beautiful thing to host something like that for the whole entire metroplex.
Yeah, definitely. We have, it's a very good mix of residents and then our point members, but just the general community of age 55 and over have come out. We usually have about 14 different categories, and there's a big group that have never entered a contest before, but they've seen the art and they say, oh, I think I can do something. And then there's people who have been doing art all their lives, but didn't realize that it was art and said, oh, I can put my tablecloth in this category. I can, my shawl that I needed could be in a category. And it's amazing then you see them win in one of the entries, and it's, they're an artist. They see their art on the walls, and it's
probably one of our favorite days because we never know what's going to come the day that art is intaken, and we just know there's a list of names. And so when they come, you get to meet the people and the faces, but then you get to hear the stories behind the work that they're actually bringing, and maybe that they made this for their granddaughter or their grandson or whatever the story might be. And the stories are just heart tugging,
Yeah, that's part of it. In the one of the joys for us in doing it every year is that you never know what you're going to get. You never know who's going to show up or what they're going to do this year. And their people are different and it changes. And then they spend hours putting it up around the whole building so we can see it. And it's just, there's something everywhere to see, and grows every year.
It does grow every year. I think my first year, 12 years ago, we had maybe 80 total entries from about 50 people. And then last year we had over 200 entries from about a little over 100 different people that entered. And we were trying to scramble for wall space for display because every piece that's brought in is showcased. So
but it's truly a labor of love for us. I mean, it takes a group of probably about 100 people to pull this contest together from soup to nuts. And it's through collaborative partnerships with organizations like the Dallas Area Fiber Artists, the Handweavers and Spinners Guild, the Bead Society, and tons of residents and community members who come help us make this happen.
Yeah, but also we have art workshops throughout the year, and people come and they take an art workshop for the first time and they realize, oh, I made something that I can put in this contest. And you have those pieces, and then you have pieces for people have been doing art longer. So it's just amazing to see the different varieties of things that come through.
So a couple things. I'm wondering, am I going to get carded when I come to this? Present?
Age matters.
Okay, good. The second thing, of course, I have to ask about the why behind the celebration. And I know that part of it is to change the paradigm of aging, as we've been talking about so far. And I love the playfulness of it. And I love what you were saying earlier, Brian, about, watching people like literally stand a little taller and step on their shine and realize I've created something beautiful. And it's also being appreciated by many other people in this contest.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, we have so many visitors to this building throughout the month that the show's up for 2 months. And it gets a lot of activity and conversation, and it becomes a destination for families too, to come pick out their favorite thing and make comments about what they're seeing this person did. And we post the participant's name and their age at time of completing the piece.
And we were joking about the age piece and carding people, but that's truly a hallmark of the contest.
Yes.
Because, every life at every age is valued and enriched here. That's part of our mission, but it's part of the mission of the contest to let people know, this might be something that you just started doing. And we want to celebrate the fact that you're doing it today and be proud of your age.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's one of the reasons we also award and acknowledge the person who was the oldest to have entered the contest. We have a special category just for them to say, anybody at any age can do art, and even up into 102, I believe, is what we had before.
Our oldest
participant was 102. So, it's just amazing to see, especially if it's writing where they've written something that's about their life throughout the years, and to learn about that, it's just really good to see, to read.
We are a juried show, and sometimes that's a bit contentious. We don't let anyone know who the judges are.
By the way, competition doesn't fade as you age.
No, it doesn't.
For some, it gets stouter, right?
And in fact, they're pretty sneaky about it. But so we have, people who are academics, we have people who are professional writers, and different folks from the community who help us with the judging. And we do give away awards in those different categories. But everyone is in the show. It doesn't matter. I mean, you enter, you're in, you're hung, and you get to see your work in a professional show.
That is so beautiful. Okay, now, of course, having heard this, listeners and viewers, don't you want to be involved? So how can they participate? I mean, do they apply? What's the process of entering the contest?
So we have information up on our website currently, but registration opens August 1st. And so you can pre-register, send all of your information through a digital format. And then in mid-August, August 19th and 20th, you actually bring in your art, and we just kind of review it, make sure that you have all your contact information on it, make sure it's listed in the correct category. And then we hang it later that week. It gets judged, and the show is up for 2 months. And then we also have the big celebration to go along with it, where we honor anybody who has won those awards.
So if
And
you're
that's
curious,
where you'll be speaking.
Okay.
That's where Alise will be speaking, definitely.
Yeah. And if you're curious about that, it's www.ccyoung.org/events, and you'll see all the information about the contest there for you.
Yes.
So great. And so let's talk a little bit about that celebration here. What is that about? Who shows up?
Well, it's one of our anchor events annually, and it's a huge celebration. The families come, the residents come, the wider community of artists and whatnot. We have quite a few staff that attend this thing. This year, because it's our 25th anniversary, well, we usually we like to throw a good party here. So we like themes and we like parties, but this is all about the art. And so encourage people to come early and stroll through the gallery. We'll probably have a reception for sure. For the 25th, we'll have a champagne reception, and then have our speaker, and everybody gets their picture and their trophy if they've won. So it's just a love fest. Alise, it really is.
The event is really the gift to all of the participants, and the speaker each year is our gift to them. I mean, really to motivate them and inspire them to
and validate what they've done is so
that's right.
awesome. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, and I can see, just looking at your history here, you've had some incredible, prestigious people, Dallas icons and thought leaders, including, of course, the legendary Abby Halliday, esteemed members of the art community like Lily Kabatu Weiss from the Dallas Arts District, Amy Hoffland from the Crow Museum of Asian Art, and Dallas artist J.D. Miller. And these are amazing humans that have been a part of this here. So I think it's really impressive what you attracted to you through this effort.
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. We agree, yes.
And you're joining that club.
You are joining that club, and it's all of these connections that we make with just these speakers and the artist. But they keep coming back. Oh, I spoke there and I want to now take a class there. I spoke there. I want to teach a class. Their families come out. They're friends. It's, the community just continues to grow and grow.
We just booked Amy to come back in July to talk about the new Crow Museum at the University of Texas. Dallas, Texas. Yeah.
Just as a real quick side note, since this is going to be a lot of people, I got to assume that you have an orchestrated effort to bus people in or park people, or I've got to believe that happens, because they have this beautiful campus. We're on it here. And by the way, there's bunny rabbits out there hopping around, and they have ducklings that were crossing the street and shepherded by some of the residents. It's just beautiful.
It's a beautiful campus for sure.
Yeah, we've definitely learned how to have a party here, how to throw an event here. So from the smallest details up into the parking.
Exactly.
And I appreciate that you say it takes a village literally to put the contest on. Over 100 people, you said, are part of putting it on. Brian, is that what you said?
Correct.
Well, and I want to make sure everybody listening understands what rock stars are here that I have the pleasure of working with. These two do the heavy lifting and doing all the art cards and making sure it's hung beautifully, and the planning and even the marketing. And even though that's several other people involved, their vision is really what makes it happen here. So,
including production, much like today's experience for us. This is different being on the other side of the camera. We have a TV studio run by seniors for seniors. We're able to broadcast the program, the awards program, for all of those on our campus, some of those who can't be here for any number of reasons. So we're broadcast on an internal channel. We can actually live stream as well, which is really cool. And so it is a sophisticated
and record
production.
and rebroadcast for later.
Right. And, for perpetuity, because those things are so important. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit, I think, about some of the people in the show, but listening to some of the residents and their reactions about seeing their work on the wall, it just is the thing that I go back to. It gives me goosebumps.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like watching the molecules of a human being get changed and elevated right before your eyes, witnessing that transformation. Nothing like it. Best drug there is in the world for me. Okay, let's. Did you want to say something else?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we'll have our last break here because we've got some really good stuff for you after the break. We've been on air with Jennifer Griffin, Brian Parman, and Angela Castillo of CC Young. We've been talking about the Spirit is Ageless contest coming up here soon in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. After the break, we want to showcase and celebrate some previous winners and some of what's come out of the contest before. We'll be right back.
Dr. Alise Cortez is a management consultant specializing in meaning and purpose, an inspirational speaker and author. She helps companies visioneer for greater purpose among stakeholders and develop purpose-inspired leadership and meaning-infused cultures that elevate fulfillment, performance, and commitment within the workforce. To learn more or to invite Alise to speak to your organization, please visit her at alisecortez.com. Let's talk about how to get your employees working on purpose. This is Working on Purpose with Dr. Alise Cortez. To reach our program today or to open a conversation with Alise, send an email to Alise, A-L-I-S-E, at alisecortez.com. Now, back to Working on Purpose.
Thanks for staying with us and welcome back to Working on Purpose. I'm your host, Dr. Alise Cortez. As you know by now, this program is dedicated to empowering and inspiring you along your journey to realize more of your potential. If you want to learn more about how we can work together, and specifically about the Gusto Now Academy for leaders and individuals on various journeys alike, make your way to gusto-now.com and then navigate to the training tab to find the Academy. We'd love to have you join us. If you are just now joining us on today's program, my guests are the dynamic trio from CC Young, a senior living and care community. Okay, so let's dive into celebrating some of the people. I mean, it would be impossible. We could do like 14 shows just celebrating people. But alas, let's focus on this last segment and celebrate a few. Where do you want to start?
I want to start because I have my favorite. And this was such a darling story. We had a new resident named Ruby who had moved in a couple of months. It was in the COVID years, and as a result, we did a whole month of State Fair of Texas events around here. And part of that was butter sculpting. And she was new and she saw it in the lifestyle guide and was like, well, I don't know what this is. This woman comes over that we really didn't know at the time. And she had done a bust ahead of somebody and it was frozen. And she was trying to figure out how to bring it over.
So it's literally
on a tray. and it has a cleaver in the head or a knife or a cleaver. And I'm thinking, oh, this is deep symbolism. I don't know what she's talking about. And the honest truth was she couldn't figure out how to get it over here without putting a knife in its head.
Well, because it's how you hold it.
You hold it so it didn't fall.
Okay.
If she pulled it out, it might ruin it.
Something would happen. So Ruby came and we were just all amazed. By the way, the piece was amazing. It was so realistic and it was butter. We gave everybody 5 pounds of butter. You wouldn't believe the things that came back. But we learned through that she actually is an artist and has been for years and years. And she ultimately did a resident show that was remarkable. And she had never say the quote. This gives me chills every time.
Sure. She was in the hallway and she looked at me and she's like, Brian, I've never seen all of this work in one place in my entire life. And this is my life.
I love that.
Oh,
and
so much.
It was very special. Her family came in and but it was a labor of love. It was a lot. I mean, she worked on this thing and
by far I can't have favorites. Like my mother says, she has no favorites, but
Unforgettable.
Wow, she was darling. She's still here.
What's your favorite story?
Yeah, it's my favorite story of how that came to be.
How about you, Angela?
Well, we not only do we have the residents who participate, I mentioned, we also have point members. So we have staff, we have families. And we had actually a father and daughter who have both entered the contest before. But like Dick is a writer. He is an artist. He paints. He works with the Woodies, the wood shop. He plays the harmonica in the talent show. And he wrote a song and did poetry. He's a super talented. He played the trumpet for Taps one year. And then he got his daughter to enter the contest along. As soon as she turned 55, he made her enter. And it's led to her having her own one-woman show coming up in August. So she's going to have her own show here because her art is amazing as well. And so you just have those little stories that lead to from one thing to the other.
Yeah.
And it's
like the one with the trio.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, and this is tough, but this one jumps out at me. We had someone here recently in rehab. She was here to have some knees replaced, and during her time, post surgery, like her recuperation. So one of our sales associates had said, "Bri, you've got to go by and visit Phoebe. She's got these sketches. They're unbelievable. You should know." And that's how we find artists. I'm shameless. I will go ask anyone. So I get to her apartment and she's in there and she just starts whipping out these sketch pads, and they're intricate, crazy designs of Alice in Wonderland and all this color and detail. And so I'm like, "Phoebe, would you ever consider doing a show? And how did you get involved in this?" And she had, with a group of friends, her husband was an architect, and they all had this get together. They had cocktails and they had an art off. It was an annual event. And over cocktails, they decided maybe one year that they had to do hedgehogs, and like everybody had to come with some hedgehog art, and each year it got, a different theme. Well, they have a whole group of people who still do art. And I was like, "Well, hey, could you help me book some other artists?" Thinking I'm scoring here, It turns out that Phoebe not only just picked up her phone and started dialing, but the show is on the walls right now here at the Point, and they're absolutely amazing women, each in their own right. I truly thought I would be able to book 3 individual shows, but no, they wanted to do it together because that bond that they established through doing their art off and through the years of working together, was why they do art and why they have joy about it. So I'd say the trio stand out in my mind.
Well, and that's a great symbolism of what the arts in general can do. And we love the arts here in every way, shape, manner, and form. Performing arts, dance, music, creative arts, because you just connect. You get that sense of joy from just experiencing whatever it is you're doing in any of those formats.
And that's true, because really, Angela, at one point we were talking about dance, and she got in touch with Bruce Wood Dance. And they teach here, our residents. Not only do they perform and collaborate with us, but because of Angela's connection with them, came and started teaching our residents to dance, and us as well.
Well, and that's a key point with not only this show, but everything we do here, is that it's collaboration with people we meet, no matter where we meet them. If we have people that use our space for meeting space, and one of the trade-offs is, would you do a presentation of some sort? Would you help educate our residents? Would you be willing to have a show? Would you be willing to dance for us? And that's where a lot of this comes from. We've got local celebrities. I mean, I could go on and on. Amy Martin is somebody that's lived in Dallas forever, and she became a Point member, and she now is also presenting some of our educational classes. She's a naturalist and nature trailblazer in Dallas, and gosh, there's so many. We can't even keep it down to a single.
But one of our residents, Judith Baines, wrote a story for her grandson about the ducks that you mentioned earlier, and Feathers the duck, the residents named them, and her ducklings, and how the residents, watched over the ducks and the eggs, and then they hatched, and how they got them down to the lake here at White Rock. And illustrated the book with the help of Aaron Schmidt, who's on our team. He's a crazy great artist, and Angela used her mad skills with Canva to put that book together and bind it. And we used it for a fundraiser, I think, for our benevolence fund, which helps seniors who outlive their income. And this turned into a bigger thing. And I'm thinking we're going to have volume 2 since these
second batch of shots just hatched.
She did, and she entered that book into the contest last year, and then she won the People's Choice Award.
She did.
So there was one award where everyone just got to vote on what they liked the best, and her book on Feathers the Duck won because we love nature around here, and everybody loved that.
But it's one simple example, but it's a perfect example of how someone over 55 has always had a story burning inside of them, or that book that they wanted to write, and then they write 5 of them in the last 5 years. Alise, great example. And there are others who, they get inspired by this opportunity, and they're like, let's do it. And
Well, even after that, she wrote that book, she entered in the contest, and then she decided she was going to spearhead the rebranding of our own writing group here. Mm-hmm. And so our writing group was kind of dwindling, and she said, oh no, we're not going to do that. And now they have a good 10 to 12 people that come every week for the
it's true.
scribblers, scribes, and seekers group.
Oh, I love that name.
That they named themselves.
I have to interject real quick because I know you have other examples to share, but I want to contrast. As I'm listening to you share these beautiful examples and how with the passion with which and excitement that you're doing so, I can tell you both of my sets of grandparents didn't have any kind of finish to their lives. Nothing, not even close. And my own parents my mother was 73, my dad was 79 when they passed. Mm. And they spent a lot of time sitting by themselves in front of the television. That was the quality of their lives. And I can pretty well say definitively, I know my mother might still be here if she had been a part of something remotely close to this. So I just want to interject that. It's just such a difference in what you're describing, the quality of their lives versus what you have here.
And there's so many things you make me think of. My mom lived with Alzheimer's for 20 years, and her last 10 years were spent here in Dallas. And during COVID specifically, we still had art shows happening because we were our own little bubble. But the one way I could communicate with my mom was through FaceTime. Mm. And I would walk her through the gallery and show her people's artwork. And I can remember her reaction when she saw this one artist, and I can't think of his name, help me, the ostrich. It was this cute ostrich with a really crazy big bug eyes and everything. And she just giggled. Patmore, thank you. She does it all the time. You're awesome. But Pat, you don't even know how much you made my mom's day, but that's something I'll never forget. And the fact that we have 2 art galleries on campus and other destinations where people either from inside or outside the community can come have a free date 7 days a week. These galleries are open. It's just a wonderful gift.
Well, you mentioned, and we haven't mentioned yet, the gallery over in our new building, the Vista. It's in such a traffic area that it gives people who are coming here to visit either their family that's in long-term care or memory support or wherever wherever they are, but also the people that are here for short-term rehab. And, you're healing, you're in a place, you're not feeling so good. It's a destination where that they can get away from the bedroom or the bed, the hospital bed, and go down and see some beautiful art, maybe stop at our little bistro and get a snack and sit down and get away from the seriousness of the healing that they're all doing.
Sure. You know what I mean? Refer to that little hallway as a super highway because people have to go to rehab. But I remember the day that I walked down the hallway and there was a woman looking at a picture of a woman at the beach, hand on her hip, and she's looking at the wall. And I had to stop and ask because I was just, what's up? And I was like, what's up? And and she's like, that's me. That's me. I'm the woman in the picture. And I was just like, wow, it is you. So I took her picture, and it just the opportunity for people to reminisce or to engage with art. You just can't discount the value of that by putting your work out there for someone to enjoy. You have no idea. Just like saying hello to someone, you might be the only one that touches them. You might help them remember something that they forgot.
Yeah. And I mean, the contest itself, but everything else we do here has made so many connections to people. We've had so many people who have entered the contest who have then decided, you know what, I love it. I love this place. I'm going to move there. And so we've had people, had a show here, like Walt Davis, he had his show here, and then him and his wife moved in the next year. Annalise Carver, who taught classes here for many years. Yeah. Then she would enter the contest probably longer than I've been here, and she just moved in this year. So it's, we make these connections to these people, and they find joy here, like Brian likes to say, and they decide, well, I'm going to be there, live there. And
and it's not just people from the art show, it's from people that are point members or whatever. We've had, what was the last count? Like 30 something
in the last
people that have had a soft landing here to get to understand what the community's like. And the next thing you know, they become residents. I like this here. I love the community is what it comes down to.
Well, and I was thinking to myself as a business person, what a smart way to socialize yourself to the overall community at large. I think that's brilliant. I don't know if that was part of the
It's
idea.
part of the visionary committee's idea for sure, to serve the community at large. But I don't think they anticipated that it would necessarily convert into people living here back then. I don't know.
I had an opportunity not long ago to bring someone named Grace Delator. She was one of those people in that visionary group. She neighbors with her son, and they came to an event we had out in the park. We had a big band, lunch, everything, and Grace had never actually been in the building since it opened. And so I had the chance to walk her around and show her all the things that have happened since they raised the money that they did to make this building happen. And it was really, really a special day to experience that with her.
Mm-hmm. So beautiful. We've got a little bit more time to share a couple more stories. And I know you had said something about the Ageless Creativity Award. I think Anita Hallam.
Can I tell you, the first time I met Anita, I thought she was a spitting image of my maternal grandmother. And I told her so. I'm like, oh my gosh, you remind me of my grandmother. She is a former rancher from out East Texas. She's a powerhouse.
She just turned 100 years
old.
Just
turned 100.
Oh
but,
my goodness.
Part of, again, the journey of life here and how people come here and don't know, are surprised by things that happen. We have had a wonderful man named Ralph Eilers, who they befriended one another and had developed a dear, precious relationship. Now, at that time, she was probably 98, and he was like 90.
I mean, the spin on this whole story was it was a COVID romance that grew out in the park, and we would walk to our cars and we're like,
we're still looking, going, what's going on?
Yeah. And like, that they like connected and really.
So as a centenarian, she, and a writer and a lovely spirit, she wrote a story. Ralph ended up passing a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And of course we were all sad. And she wrote the most beautiful, heartfelt, lovely story about him and their relationship. And she said, I'm just going to make me choke up. She said he was the love of her life, and she did not meet him until she was 100 years old.
Oh, there's hope for me.
That story she wrote was just remarkable. So, exactly. She's still here with us and still doing great.
I am so glad you shared that story for a number of levels. It's so beautiful. It's so inspiring. I hope that gives our listeners and viewers hope too about the quality of their overall lives and what's available for them when they lean in.
Yes, definitely.
There's so much. I mean, we could stay here all day talking about experiences.
Right. Well, this has just been beautiful. I want to give you each an opportunity just to say a couple words in closing. The show is listened to by people around the world. Many of them will come into the topic that's being featured, but they all want to elevate their lives. They want to elevate who they're being in the world through their lives. What would you like to leave them with?
Boy, every cliche comes to mind that I could possibly say: live better longer, never stop learning, live with joy. The list goes on and on and on. But for me, the most impactful thing to do is really realize that aging is not necessarily the end. It can be the beginning. It can be so much more than we fear it might be. Our residents are doing things now that they never had the chance to do when they were working and raising a family and doing all the things. And I mean, we can all relate to the busyness of life. Yeah. And now if you can take a moment to just find those little moments of joy here or throughout your life or wherever you are, that's the important part of life right there that we sometimes just zoom by too fast. But anyway, throwing a little confetti here and there too. That always helps.
For sure.
Jen is all about the confetti.
I love confetti.
Yeah. But going off of kind of what she said, but just because you're over 55 or over 65, that does not mean that life stops. Life begins. You can still learn new things. We have people here every day learning, whether it's learning how to text on their phone or, we learning how to do a Zoom call and things. Our residents are leading their own TV station, and they're teaching me things still about technology that I was like, oh, I didn't know that. But it's just amazing that there's still so many more things that you can learn.
Gosh, for me, really, it's about working here in senior living. I don't know that I would have ever considered it, but this environment and the opportunity to be in a faith-based, residents-first approach that CC Young takes really has afforded me the opportunity to be creative, to have blue sky thinking and think big. And the results of the work that we do and having the direct impact from the contact with the residents just changes everything.
It is such a delight to know all three of you and now feel like I'm part of this too. I get to be part of this too. I want to thank you so much for coming on Working on Purpose. Jen, Brian, Angela, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Alise.
Listeners and viewers, you are going to want to learn more about these three guests, the work they do at CC Young, and the upcoming The Spirit is Ageless Art and Writers Contest. So visit ccyoung.org. For the event itself, it's /events. Last week, if you missed the live show, you can always catch it via recorded podcast wherever you get yours. We were on air with Thaddeus Metz, a research professor at the University of Pretoria in South Africa, who has helped to develop life's meaning as a distinct field in philosophy. We talked about his robust research and writing on meaning in life and work, which is incredibly inspiring at the sheer depth of meaning available to us all. See you then, and remember, work is one of the best adventures and means of realizing our potential and making the impact we crave, and can give us the opportunity to do business that betters the world. So let's work on purpose.
We hope you've enjoyed this week's program. Be sure to tune into Working on Purpose, featuring your host, Dr. Alise Cortez, each week on W4CY. Together, we'll create a world where business operates conscientiously, leadership inspires impassioned performance, and employees are fulfilled in work that provides the meaning and purpose they crave. See you there. Let's work on purpose.